So far, this year has exceeded all expectations that I had for it going into it in terms of experiencing media. You know, I went into it wanting to experience as much stuff as I possibly could. In order to replenish my creative bank account, I already knew this year I was going to be using a lot of creativity, man. So I was like, if my bank account is going to be going down, I'm going to need to fill it up with some more greatness. So I went into this year with one mindset in regards to experiencing content. And that is to experience as much greatness as possible. And so far, it has been magnificent, man. Started off this year watching some movies, then going into TV shows. But since this is an anime, manga, and video game based channel, I wanted to come here today to talk about the 3 series within that spectrum that have just, and then one of them that I watched last night, that's the reason I'm recording this video. That within there, you know, within the themes of, you know, expressing your love for certain things, feeling accepted, and finding happiness within seeing others, you know, do what they love to do, and then finding happiness within yourself doing what you love to do. And I was like, hold up, man. When I wake up tomorrow morning, I gotta talk about some greatness. I gotta talk about some greatness because listen, this year has been off to an amazing start, man, and it's only just beginning. We're gonna continue experiencing more greatness because, like I said, with the amount of stuff that I've been creating, with the amount of juices that have been flowing, I need to experience as much awesome sauce as possible. And it's a great give and take. Like, I create some more, I experience some more. You know what I'm saying? And I've been trying to do that every single year. But this year in particular, that was like my main mission. I was like, dude, I am on a quest. I am on a never-ending journey of a bunch of different stuff I need to experience to clear the backlog, get through it, and all that stuff. But let's go ahead and start talking about some series, man, because, yo, listen. Going into the space of webtoons, what I like to call, and I mean this wholeheartedly, man, as the biggest Squaresoft fan on the planet, the Chrono Trigger of webtoons, KUBERAAA. Look, man, I'm only 107 chapters in, all of season 1, 7 chapters into season 2. And I already have it as my Chrono Trigger of webtoons. What do I mean by that? Chrono Trigger is something that excels in everything that it attempts to do. Everything. Every single aspect that you could possibly want out of a video game, Chrono Trigger excels in. S tiers across the board. That is exactly how I feel about KUBERAAA. Everything it attempts to do, it accomplishes, and more. And more. And that and more is what I want to talk about today. Because KUBERAAA from the very beginning blew my mind with the way that it handles its characters, their character arcs, and in particular the structure. You see, KUBERAAA is structured more like an epic fantasy series rather than a battle shonen or the typical romance series that I've been seeing in the webtoons that I experienced. Now, I don't have much experience in the webtoon space of things. You know, I've experienced my fair share, but I haven't seen everything. You know, especially not in the same regard that I have for anime and manga and stuff like that. But in webtoons, this is gas, man. This is some heat. And what makes it so special is, people, I don't remember names. I'm very bad with names, man. I have to Luffy my way out of certain conversations because I have to come up with nicknames, man. In order to remember certain things, like even in some of my favorite series, I'm like, what was that person's name again? Like, I don't even remember it, you know what I'm saying? It's just so much stuff that enters the noggin that, you know, other names just don't make it. So if a name remains within here, then that's legendary. You know what I'm saying? To me, I already know that's a special series. That's a favorite. That's something that's going to remain a favorite for years to come. I want to say at the very least 8 characters in KUBERAAA that I have as my favorite characters. I remember all their names. I remember each and every single one of their names and my favorite moments from that character. And that goes into the storytelling philosophy that has been put in by the author. I believe the author's name is KUBERAAA, if I'm mistaken, right? By the author within the interview at the end of season 1, where the author stated the importance of showing each individual character's point of view as if they were the protagonist of their own story. And of course, this is a storytelling philosophy that you see utilized in epic fantasy novels. You see that through multiple different perspectives. It's definitely something I've taken within my own writing, something you see within certain video games, certain anime and manga, where the multiple POVs allow for unique things that you can create within your story. The way that KUBERAAA does it is really interesting because the way it hides information from you is something that I really like. I feel like in order for a long-running series to succeed, it needs to have a level of intrigue and mystery in at least one regard, at least when the characters, in plot, or in the world. And what this series does is it has it in all 3, but the reason why you care about that is thanks to the characters that are trying to all find something within this world, right? And it's just insane. It's insane the way that everything is. It feels like everything's just perfectly calculated, and I know it's not because I know what it is to write a story, man. I know that you can't possibly calculate all this stuff, but it feels that way. Especially for a weekly series, I'm like, bro, how does this get done? Seriously, how does this get done? But I love the multiple POVs. And I love the fact that I remember all the POVs. I remember KUBERAAA. I remember KUBERAAA. Yeah! I remember Yuta. I remember Asha. I remember Gengar. I remember Maruna. Like, I know all my dudes. Brilith. Agni! Let's go! Like, come on! I remember, man. I remember the names, and I remember the moments associated with those names. I know their motivation. I know what they care about. I know why I care about them. And how the world continues to unravel through their POV. It just makes it so interesting because you care. Due to the fact that they care. Asha, the most mysterious character in the series. When we see something through Asha's eyes, it's like, hold up! It's real! It's real. We ain't playing games anymore. It's real. And it's the way, like I said, this series hides information and then reveals that information through certain characters or whatever they're going through. There was an arc that takes place like between 60 and 80. It's like my favorite. That and like the end of season 1 is like my favorite stuff in the series so far. There was an arc there that the reason why it was so intense is for that very storytelling philosophy of hiding information from the reader. And when you're following it from a specific POV, and you just see all the stuff that's going down, and the intensity is ramped up to 1,000,000. I mean, to 1,000,000. I'm like, yo, this feels like a culmination of 400 chapters worth of stuff. We're only at chapter 60. We're only at chapter 60, man, or whatever it was. And I was like, dude, what is going on? I read all of that in one sitting. I was spamming my boy Shadow. Shout out to Shadow for getting me into the series. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. Because the thing is, that's how you create tension within your series. The lack of information, the lack of detail, and then providing other things on top of that that add on to it. It's like, holy flagnards, you know? And I love it. I love it, and that is amplified within the current Yuta plotline that's currently being, I don't want to spoil anybody, but that's currently being put at the forefront within the series. Like, I cannot wait to see where that goes, especially with the teaser at the beginning of season 2. I was like, bro, what's going on? I was like, what's going on? So that's where I'm at with that series. The way that it takes care of its themes, like one of its main central themes, and the power of the name. And I think that's why I remember all the characters' names, is because the author has this way of just putting power into names, putting importance onto names, and not just the names of the characters, but it could be the names of their attacks, the names of the things that are associated with them. Just the power of the name within this series. And it is truly something that resonates throughout every aspect of it. And I love it, man, and the importance of it. And it's like the highest of praise for the series. Seriously, the highest of praise. I cannot wait for more. It's something where, like I said before with the interview, whenever you have a series that shows every character, gives them importance, like an epic fantasy series would, and having these multiple different POVs and giving them an equal level of importance, to where you really rock with these side characters. It reminds me of Final Fantasy VI, where it really does feel like you have a cast of just a whole bunch of main characters. And it's really dope, and I love when series do that, especially long-running series. So the fact that we had all of those POVs in Season 1, I can't even imagine how it's going to be in Season 2, Season 3, with the characters we've already had, and now with the characters that are currently being introduced. Like, just great stuff. I love me some Kubes. KUBERAAA is nasty. Can't wait to read more. Awesome series, man. Absolutely awesome. Brilith and Agni top 1, though. Yo, that's my squad. Love those two. Regardless, we continue. Delinquent mangas, man. Yo, I have a soft spot for any type of delinquent literature that is out there in the world, man. It's just, I have a soft spot for it. I blame Yu Yu Hakusho, I really do, but out. So when I went into it, I was already expecting a certain level of greatness. What I wasn't expecting was the level of emotional depth that the series has from the very beginning, and how it explores my favorite theme in all of fiction, which is freedom. The way this series goes, it not only gives me the same type of hype and injected into my veins type of energy that one would expect from a series like this. When they start throwing hands, I'm like, yo, I love it. Throwing hands with a purpose. Grown men throwing hands, I'm all there for this, right? It's great. But when you have layers on top of the characters that are within these conflicts and within these situations, and you see why it is they're fighting for what they're fighting for, when you see the tension that continues to rise due to everything that's going around, and due to what, especially when it comes down to the main character, right? And the whole Kanabe plot line from the moment that stuff started popping off, because like I said, I'm trying to refrain from spoilers, from the moment that stuff started popping off until the end of the arc was insane, man. The hockey clashes, right? Just amazing stuff, but it works, and it works so well because there's a power structure that is immediately understood from the very beginning. And so whenever you start seeing stuff like that pop down or pop off, you're like, yo, this is actually happening. And because you know what the main protagonist is trying to do right now, he's just trying to live a normal life, but he keeps getting sucked back into this world, and it's like, I love it, man. I love it. I love whenever characters are presented with their past, they have to fully confront their past and also their present, because he's found this new love within Kilhito. And it's like, yo, these dudes are his dudes now, man. And it's like the fact that he's not trying to go back to prison, but at the same time he loves these dudes. I'm like, this series is awesome. And I love how it balances that. And then we get these incredible one-liners within, whether it's from his uncle or his aunt, or from one of the characters, Tanaka, be bringing out some crazy one-liners sometimes. I'm like, yo, this series is great, man. Like I said, the emotional depth that it has within its characters, and how we continue to learn more about them. And as we learn more about them, we get to see just the amount of detail that's put into the construction of those characters. And I love it. I love it, man. It's a great series, and I'm so early on, but I can already tell the just not even just the potential, because the potential is already being realized. Like it's like the greatness that the series has, and you can already tell that based on what we have so far, we have yet to even touch the surface of all the stuff that's going to happen later on, right? And it's like everything I just experienced, I felt was like all set up, and yet all of that was fantastic. I always love whenever arcs take your expectations, like, oh, I just experienced the peak, And then whenever you get later on in the arc, you're like, yo, that wasn't the peak. This is? And it's like, dude. And I always love being surprised like that. That's it's a common theme in a lot of my favorites. Whenever I feel like I've experienced the best, and then one ups it. That's always a nice surprise, right? To get out of certain things. Another thing that I want to add when it comes to Out is the art. I feel like the art in this series is not only just fantastic from, just looking at it on a surface level, but it's so good in regards to, sometimes I feel like words aren't even needed whenever I'm reading this series, because the facial expressions, the way that the author carefully utilizes his double page spreads, the way in which you get to see certain emotions conveyed in the backgrounds. Like, I'll give you a quick example. There will be like certain scenes where you'll have a character and they'll have like a black background, and then following panel you just see like a zoomed up facial expression. It's like, hold up, man, it's about to go down. Like, it's just that by itself. You don't need any words, you don't need any monologue, you need nothing. You're taking full advantage of the medium at hand of manga, the visual medium at hand in manga, to showcase this emotion. And I like that so much, man. Like, Out greatness. And it's been a great journey so far. Can't wait to find out more about the characters in particular. A lot of members of Kilhito are really interesting. Really, really interesting. And to continue to follow, man, like, dude, when I tell y'all, listen, I'm so weak to certain things, right? And this series, when it has this internal conflict that our main protagonist continues to go through, it's great, man. It's great. I love it. All right, I absolutely love it, and I look forward to seeing how that raises and how the stakes continues to raise as the series progresses. One of the things that Out absolutely excels in is the importance of decision making within its cast of characters. Everyone in this series has to make a decision, and the author puts it at the forefront as to why this decision should matter to you and why it matters to the characters. And it's super dope, man. And I think that's why when the author comes in as a narrator and talks about the world of Out in a meta type of way, of like, yeah, in the world of Out, these individuals, the reason why that works so well and doesn't take you out of the immersion of what's happening is because of the decisions that the characters have to make. To where even though there is this figure from the outside letting you know this fact about the world of Out, there is still the decision that a character has to make, the decision that a character is currently going through. And when we get to see the result of that decision, the consequences, right? Because there's also consequences. You can make a decision, but if there's no consequences, there's no weight. The great thing that Out has, at very least so far, and it's incredible because we're only 46 chapters in, is the weight of the consequences of the decisions these characters make. And we see it on both sides. Both on the sides of the characters that are on Kirito's side, on the protagonist side, but also on the antagonist side. We get to see the decisions they make have major consequences, and what they the things that they even want to do. As we saw with Tanaka right before the end, there was a decision to remain as spoiler-free as possible. There was a decision that the other squad had to make, and Tanaka was like, "Yo, y'all better make this decision now or never." But then after that, I was like, "Nah, I got y'all." But it's like, it's those moments of decision making that make everything that always allow every page to matter. It's like, yo, this decision could lead to this, but it could also lead to this. And it's like, it presents all these different options for you, but you know that it's up to the character. And it presents why the character is going to make the decision they're going to make, or why they're not going to make the decision they're going to make. And it's really cool in the way that's able to handle that and balance that. Because I feel like it's hard to balance that. When you have so many characters that want different things, it's difficult to get into their mind for a prolonged period of time, besides the main protagonist, of course, and really make you care about the decision. But it's just something about the way this series does it, the way it's structured, the way it handles itself, the way that it puts these obstacles to where you know a decision has to be made immediately or something bad is going to happen, and even if you make the decision, something even worse can happen. Like it's all about making the world, starting out establishing the foundation of the world around, so that whenever decisions start being made, it matters and there's consequences, there's weight behind those decisions. And I think that's where Out excels, just as much as its emotional depth, as its rawness, as the depth of its characters. Just in that same tier, the thing that really sets it apart for me so far is the decision making of the characters and how important those decisions feel at the end of the day. I just absolutely love that about Out. Moving on to what caused me to make this video in the first place last night. I gotta give a shout out to my boy Laz, man. Shout out to the Commodore, to my good brother. Yo, man. So he told me to I think he told me to experience this back whenever it was in manga form, not even anime form, manga form. He told me, yo, you would dig this so much. I 100% believed him because he's a man of culture, a man of taste, and I was like, 100%, right? Then I was told by so many people, besides Osama ranking, which I still need to watch, this was like number 2 in terms of the amount of times somebody has told me to watch something. Right? They're like, yo, you need to watch this. You, specifically you, need to watch this. I'm like, what are people talking about? And then all I ever saw of the series was fan service. And I'm like, is that the type of energy I give off? Do I give off an energy of just somebody who loves fans? I do love me some fan service, but is that all I'm worth? Is that all I'm worth? But I thought back to my boy Laz's words, and I was like, no, there's got to be some sort of emotional depth to the series. There has to be. There has to be. If everybody's saying specifically for me, there's got to be something special that this series is offering that other series aren't. You know, I've made it clear before that I really do enjoy what the romance genre has to offer in regards to certain things, right? Especially when it comes to tension, character motivations. Like, there's lots to study there. But this series, oh snap! Yo, I've only watched the anime. I haven't read anything in the manga. I'm not gonna read the manga, or at least for now. I've only watched the anime from My Dress Up Darling. But Gojo, I had been wondering why Gojo was trending every week. I thought I was getting spoiled in Jujutsu Kaisen. But y'all were talking about a different Gojo. Y'all were talking about a Gojo-kun that is goated. Y'all were talking about a Gojo that speaks to my soul. Y'all were talking about a Gojo and a Marin who together represent everything that I could possibly imagine. Oh, I love this, bro. I love it, man. Listen, Gojo struggles. Both of them, actually. Not even just Gojo. Because Marin is amazing. I love them both. They're like 1A, 1B right there. These two characters represent, I mean, from episode 1, you see what the author is trying to say here. And the acceptance. The accepting others and allowing yourself to be accepted by other individuals, to not hide yourself away. Of course, whenever you're starting off in something and you have no one else to talk to about it, you can feel like you're all alone in the world. It's so true. It's so true. But when you find someone who willingly listens and accepts you for not only who you are, but for what you love to do, there is nothing greater. When all you ever want to talk about and think about is the thing that you're pursuing or the thing that you love most. I saw Gojo say in episode 1, like all he ever wanted to do was be this individual that makes these handy dolls. And it's like such an amazing dream, such an amazing ambition, and you see that his mind is all around that. Like, comes home, wants to create this, wants to get better, wants to work on his craft. And we see how that continues to hit because we know how great he wants to be at it, you know, being influenced by his grandpa. It's like, we know how great he wants to be at it. He already has these expectations of himself. So when it feels like he's not meeting those expectations, you get something like episode 4, which episode 4 was on some Chihaya Furu, Monogatari episode 5, season 2 episode 5, and Sound Euphonium episode 12 stuff of hitting me right in my heart. Hitting me right where it hurts, man. I was feeling those emotions, bro. I felt it because that very same night, I felt the same thing he was feeling. Last night was one of the worst. I mean, yesterday just in general. I can't even tell you. Yesterday, I had such a bad day creatively. I tried to come out here and record a skit, wasn't working. I tried writing, it wasn't working. Nothing was popping. I was like, yo, what's going on? It took a single Final Fantasy VII soundtrack to get the pen flowing. And I was like, yo, I'm moving. I'm doing good. I'm doing things. But up until that point, I was feeling exactly how Gojo felt, man. And I feel that a lot, bro. Like, there's nothing worse than feeling like you just cannot produce what's up here down there, man, and what you're trying to do. And I felt that. And then all the other things that were just mounting on top of it and mounting on top of it. Midterms, Marin's cosplay event. Then you have his grandpa got sick, and it's like, yo, everything just piling on. Then on top of that, the expectations he has of himself. And I'm like, this series gets it. This series gets it. But getting off of Gojo, I want to talk about Marin for a sec, because how she represents the art of accepting other individuals for what they love to do. We can already tell, just based on how she sees Gojo. Whenever he puts on the bandana, like my dog Zoro, when he was on the headband, right? Good old head bandana, Gintoki style, from the Joy War, going, and you know my dog's about to go in. And every time that we saw the two of them together, and she saw him happy to do what he was doing, that's whenever we start seeing her interest in him grow. And of course the fun times they have together and whatnot, but he always showcases the very best of himself whenever he's doing what he loves. And that's whenever she starts feeling the most emotion towards him, the most amount of affection towards him. And it was so well done, man. So well done, because from the very beginning, and I remember it was sprinkled, I think it was in episode 3, where she was like, yeah, no one's ever played this game that I recommended. What was it called again? It's where the main character that she's trying to cosplay, I forgot, it was like Flagnars, the whatever, man. It had a long behind name anyway. That joke was funny. But that no one had ever read that thing or played that game that she was trying to get them to play. Like she would recommend something like, yeah, sure. What? And we've all been placed in a situation where we recommend something that we love so much. We recommend it and we're like, yo, check this out, it's amazing. And they're like, yeah, sure. And they won't do it. Like, we've all been in that scenario, especially in the anime, manga, game side of things. Like, I'm pretty sure every single last one of us have recommended something that, like, yeah, sure, we'll get to it eventually, and they just don't get to it. But in Marin's case, that's so important to her, because it's a part of her. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a part of who she is at this point in time. So when she finds somebody who actually accepts this, not only that, but he himself goes and plays it in order to get down every level of detail possible in order to make this thing work. It's placing importance and value on what you love to do, no matter what anyone else says. The entire rest of the world may say that it's a waste of time. The entire rest of the world may say that what you're doing is not going to amount to anything, but it's important to them. And because it's important to them, when they find someone else who also finds importance within that thing that they love, and they have an equal amount of value that they can provide to one another, it causes for a collaboration of legend. And I love how this series makes that apparent from episode 1, and it just continues to get better and better as it goes. What this series has is a fantastic romance plot with an amazing, and I'm talking about an incredible attention to detail when it comes to character motivations. It is so good. And then the themes, like I said, of acceptance, finding freedom and love within the things you like to do. I just love it, man. I love it. It is so well done. And when you get a moment like the one in the end of episode 5 with Build, I knew it was coming eventually. I just didn't expect it to come this soon. And it's the execution in which it was done. The beauty scene from I think it was first brought up in episode 4, episode 3, and then paid off in episode 5. Whenever he actually is like, yo, you look beautiful in that thing, and you remember what he said back then. And he was like, you up! We're getting places! And it's all because of the build-up that was put there before. And this series is brilliant. It's brilliant, man. Like, it genuinely has a level of brilliance and emotional depth to it that it just makes it incredible to explore. It's so good, man. Like it's one of those rare series. It kind of reminds me of the first time I went through Welcome to the Ballroom, and it had like this great mixture. And same thing with like series like Chihaya Food, which is one of my all-time favorite series. They just find this fantastic mixture of having something on the surface level that's growing, and then you have the emotional, the depth of the characters that really carry the series, right? Like their struggles, and the great thing about it so far is we've mainly only followed it from Gojo's POV, and we see, because there's a level of mystery to Marin that I can't wait to find out more. Because there's something there, man. Like there's something that the author, it's the information that they continue to hide from us. It's like, what are you hiding? I feel like you're hiding something that we don't know, and I want to know, man. But it's that level of intrigue that makes me want to watch the next episode. Even though it doesn't have like the classic TV show formula of, oh, Blagnards, next episode needs to be watched because you need to resolve the plot line at the cliffhanger from here. No. It's taking the thing that I love most, man. It's taking the characters, what they want to do, and because it's important to them, it's important to me, and I want to know what they're going to do next. That's what makes the series so special. Shout out to the way that it handles the very important themes of valuable things that are valuable to you. If you find somebody else who also finds that valuable, that is somebody that is truly important, truly special, truly important, and being accepted for what you truly love to do is something that is on another plane of existence of as a feeling, right? As a feeling of just being alive. There's nothing else like that, man. And I'm a personal testimony for that. Of just this insane joy whenever you actually find somebody that is genuinely interested in what you want to do and what you love to do and this craft that you have. Because most of the time, whenever you bring up a certain thing, individuals will be like, oh, on the surface level, like, oh, how much money do you make? How much do you intend on making in the future? It's almost always about money. And here we have a situation to where these characters understand the amount of love that goes into the craft itself and the art of getting better, and how it shows that, and how it shows the doubt that you have within your mind of being able to accomplish certain things. I dig it. I dig it heavy, man. Once again, shout out to my boy Laz. The man's a goat for always getting me into some good series. But yeah, man, awesome stuff. I'm gonna hit up my boy Silva, who I don't know if he's watched it, but if he hasn't watched it, Silva, you gotta get on it. You gotta get on it, my brother. But yeah, man, I just wanted to come out here and talk about these series. After I watched that last night, I was like, I have to come on here and talk about these three because they've been a ton of fun to go through and experience. They've been a blast to really just dive into and get the very best out of all of the mediums right now. Because going through webtoons, manga, and an anime. It was a blast. And these are just three examples of things that I've been experiencing. Like, there's a lot of other stuff that's been awesome, but these three they had something really special that they've had to offer, and I look forward to seeing what all three of them have in store later on, because I'm sure I haven't even reached the peak of any of them. So, exciting things are incoming. Cannot wait for more. This has been the random video of the day. I will see y'all next time. Have an awesome day. If you're reading or watching any of these series, let me know in the comment section down below how you feel about them, if they resonate with you as well, and any other details that you would like to add in the comment section down below. I'll see y'all next time. Have an awesome day. We're in a good spot, man. We're in a good spot to start this year.